What's up everybody? DJI Mini Trades back here again with another video, and today I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite products of the year, which is the DJI Mini 3 Pro. This is a drone that came out in late May, and I actually ordered it right away, so I've been using it ever since, and this thing has been so amazing for getting all kinds of footage. I've done lots of shooting for my local church, as well as this YouTube channel, and I'm actually working on some new creative projects since I just got my Part 107 license very recently, and I'll be making another video at a later point talking about everything that you guys need to know if you want to get started making money with your drone. I will release a bunch of videos going over exactly how to do that and why you may want to do it, but without further ado, let's get into talking about this amazing little drone. So first off, one of the main things to note about the DJI Mini 3 Pro is that it is, as standard, a drone that weighs less than 249 grams or 0.55 pounds, which if you live in the US is the minimum weight that you need to be above or at to register your drone. Anything below that, you don't need to worry about registering it unless you are planning to use the drone for commercial purposes, in which case you need to register any drone. That being said, this is a great option for anybody looking to get into the hobby, because as long as you're not going to be using it for commercial work or making any money with it, you will be able to fly this thing straight out of the box with no issues. And this drone, unlike the previous two generations, is actually significantly more capable. One of the things that I really love that they brought to this drone is the new OcuSync 3. This allows for very, very far transmission of your signal, so you never run out in normal use. Considering that under FAA guidelines you should be flying within line of sight, you really won't ever run into an issue with that. But this can go for up to, I believe it's about 10 miles as the signal is concerned, so that is really good. Speaking about some of the other capabilities of this drone, the top speed on this in sport mode is going to be right around 37 miles an hour, so it's not going to be the fastest drone in the world, but it'll definitely get you where you need to be fast. Generally speaking though, when I'm filming with this, I stick it into normal or cine mode depending on how close I am to the subject and how much motion I want to create. Sports mode is generally just for getting to the location that you want to shoot at. I wouldn't really recommend using it for filming because it's too jerky, but if you are just, wanting to fly this thing around, flying in sport mode is pretty fun. You can get all the way up to about 36 miles an hour, so you can chase objects and other things like that if you would like. The other thing to note about this drone is that there are actually two varieties of batteries. There are the standard batteries, which will get you right around 30-ish minutes of battery life, 30-35 minutes. In my experience using this drone in the real world, I've gotten pretty much what they advertise, right around 30-35 minutes, depending on how I'm flying the drone and what the conditions are around. If it's going to be a windy day or you're going to be flying fast, definitely don't expect to get all of that. Typically, you're going to get right around 25 to 28 minutes on average, which is still pretty good, I think, for a drone of this size. If that is too little battery life for you, though, and you don't mind registering your drone, definitely pick up the Flight Plus batteries. They cost a little bit more, and they will put you over that 249 gram limit, but if you don't care about that, you can get up to 47 minutes of battery life, which is quite substantially larger than the standard batteries. I don't have any of those to test at the moment, so I can't say whether or not you're going to get similar battery life to what they quote. So speaking about wind, this drone is a level 5 rated drone, so that means that you can handle wind speeds up to 10.7 meters per second with no issues. And to be honest, I've even flown this in conditions on the waterfront here in Long Island where we were getting gusts of about 40 miles an hour, and even though this thing was rocking around in the sky, trying to maintain its level, the footage that I got out was still perfectly smooth. The gimbal on this is a 3-axis gimbal, and it does a fantastic job of keeping your footage level, keeping the horizon steady. So honestly, as far as footage is concerned, I think you will be more than satisfied with this drone. Additionally, on the gimbal, you have a usable range of minus 90 degrees, so you can look straight down, and you can go all the way up to plus 60, which is pretty extreme for any drone. Most drones are not able to get anywhere near plus 60 in terms of their vertical tilt, so when you are filming objects and you're sort of low down to the ground, you can actually get those really cool low angle shots, which you wouldn't be able to get with most drones. So that's another thing that makes this particularly useful. Another thing that I really enjoy about this drone is that it's pretty quiet. So in addition to being a fairly small package and being lightweight, this drone is also pretty quiet. So even if you take it to a beach or something like that, and you want to fly around, get some sunset shots or sunrise shots, and there are other people around, this isn't going to make anybody come over to you and start bothering you. The propellers are a pretty low pitch and they're pretty quiet, so that's another thing that I really enjoy about this. Something that a lot of people have mentioned about this drone, I don't really find it to be too big of an issue, but the SD card goes in the back here, and it's a little recessed slot here. To get it out, all you need to do is just push with your fingernail and click it in, and it comes right out. Some people have complained that this is a little bit difficult to get to. I haven't really had any issues, though. It's not particularly hard, I think, to get the SD card in and out, but if you do have very, very short nails, you may have a little bit of trouble. But the nice thing is that with this particular drone, DJI gave us the option to turn the drone on and put it into a low power state using the USB-C cable to transfer all of the data from the SD card to your computer. So that's nice. On the topic of storage, this particular drone comes with a little over 1 gigabyte of data to store pictures or video or whatever on the drone itself, which is really not a lot, unfortunately. So if you are going to be picking this up, you pretty much need to have an SD card. I use either the Samsung Evo SD cards, or I'll use the SanDisk Ultra SD cards. Either of them are very good, in my opinion. They'll both get the job done, but the Samsung ones tend to be a little bit cheaper, so if you are on a budget, they can be a good option. So another thing to note about the Mini 3 Pro is that this year they actually modified how they sell drones. DJI used to have various bundles like the standard bundle, the Fly More combo, and other things like that, where you would get all of the accessories they would need plus extra batteries all in one single purchase. With this particular release, though, they actually kind of split things up. So you can either buy this drone itself for $699 US, which is a good option if you already have a RC N1 controller, or you already have the RC controller or any other controller that's compatible with this, like the RC Pro. But unfortunately with that, you're not going to get any accessories. You're not going to get a bag to carry this thing, you're not going to get extra batteries, you're not going to get the multi-charger. So you're just going to get this drone. There are other options that you can get, so you can get the Mini 3 Pro with the RCN1. That is going to run you $759, and that's just your standard RC controller, and you can plug your phone into it and use the DJI Fly app on your phone. And then there's the option that I went for, which is the Mini 3 Pro with the DJI RC controller. This is, in my opinion, where a lot of the value comes from, is having that convenience of having a controller with a screen built in. So as you can see here, this is what the DJI RC controller looks like. It's got a 5.5-inch HD touchscreen with a peak brightness of 700 nits. So as I had mentioned before, in the new versions of DJI drones, they don't really sell you all of the packages together. They kind of have it parted out so you can get just what you need, whether you just want the drone or you want to have the drone and a controller, or the drone and the RC controller. You can kind of choose exactly what you want. And then if you want to get the Fly More combo, that's actually a separate purchase this year. So for me, I went ahead and I bought the Fly More combo. What you're going to get with that is this bag here, which I kind of have a bit of a love-hate relationship with it. I think it's fine, it does the job, but it doesn't have a lot of extra storage space for filters and other things like that that I use on all of my shoots. So it can be a little bit frustrating because you're sort of overloading the bag and it starts bulging out in a lot of areas. But there are other companies that make bags and cases that you can pick up. A lot of them are found on Amazon, so if you want to use any of the links down below, I'll leave some links to products that I think should function pretty well for you guys. With the Fly More combo, you're going to get a couple of extra propellers. You're going to get extra USB-A to USB-C cable. You're going to get 2 additional batteries, and you can actually get 2 versions of the Fly More combo this year, so you can get either the standard batteries, which is what I got, so these are the batteries that will keep the drone under 249 grams, or you can go ahead and pick up the Flight Plus batteries, which will give you the 47 minutes of battery life. As far as accessories that I have for this particular drone, I have a fair amount. So this right here is a little propeller holder from the brand Skyreet. This is something that I picked up. It's not particularly necessary, but it's nice to have when you're taking your drone in and out of the bag. It keeps the propellers safe and sort of from flopping around. I know that you can sort of interlace them the way that I have here, and that will keep them generally in place, but you don't really want to damage these or twist them or warp them at all. So using a propeller guard like this will kind of keep everything together, and so that way you can just sort of throw it in the bag without having to really worry too much about the propellers. One thing that's nice with pretty much all DJI drones is that they come with a gimbal guard, so definitely whenever you're transporting this or storing this, keep the gimbal guard on. It will not only protect the camera and the lenses, but it will also keep the gimbal centered and steady, so that way if there's any impacts or anything, it doesn't vibrate around. But to remove it, you just pop it off, pull it straight out. Right now I have a anamorphic lens from the brand Freewell on here, so this is a 1.19 squeeze factor anamorphic, which does add a little bit of weight to the front of the camera, so it doesn't really like to stay up unless it's powered on. But that is the lens, and I will show you guys how you can actually put on new lenses or filters or other things like that. The mechanism that they employed here on the Mini 3 Pro is so much better than the mechanism that they had on the old DJI Mini 2 and the Mavic Mini before that. Both of those drones were kind of a pain to get filters on and off because you had to clip them around the gimbal. With this, what's nice is that you actually have little slots and you can just pop your filters or lenses on and off very easily. So I'm definitely a big fan of this. On the topic of things that have been upgraded over the old Mini series drones, this now is the first Mini drone from DJI to have obstacle avoidance, and this actually has obstacle avoidance in the front and the rear directions, as well as your standard bottom-facing obstacle avoidance. So this does support active track and all of the features that come along with that. I don't typically use active track too much, but it can be a nice feature if you're trying to film yourself and you don't really want to worry about flying your drone around while you're walking or, doing an activity. So that's definitely something that's nice to have. Alright, so I will take you guys through all of the settings and features and other things like that of the DJI RC controller. So this is what the RC controller looks like. I will have a screen recording up for you guys where I will talk you through all of the settings and all of the features that this controller offers, and I'll also show you guys a bunch of test footage and other things like that from the Mini 3 Pro. Some of it will be using just the standard lens, and some of it will be using the anamorphic lens from Freewell. So if you guys want to pick up any of the lenses or filters that I use, I will, as always, be leaving links to everything that I show in this video down in the description in case you want to pick it up for yourself. But without further ado, let's get into the features of the Mini 3 Pro, and we will wrap up here after that. So as you can see here, we are right now on the main screen of the RC controller, and we can see all of the different locations. So if we click here on the album, this is where all of your footage will be saved if you have an SD card installed into the RC controller, but I don't, so there's nothing there. You can go here to SkyPixel. This is DJI's proprietary sort of social media. Basically, you can upload your photos, videos, other things like that, and get some comments and feedback from the community. If you want to use that, it's here, and you can enjoy that. You also have your profile here. If you click on it, you can see the total amount of time that you've flown, how far you've flown, number of flights, all of the relevant information that you may care about. You also have your firmware updates. You can check for updates. You can check for FlySafe database updates. Make sure that everything is up to date before you go flying. That'll keep you in the best position possible. Now, if we go here and we tap on Go Fly, that'll bring us right into the camera of the Mini 3 Pro. So right here, we are on the main screen. You can click here in the bottom right corner, and that will give us our manual options. So we can switch ISO, you can change your shutter speed, and if you click the auto button, you can also make it auto. You can also go over here and change your camera settings. So if you're not shooting video, you can also change for your photo settings, which you can do your white balance, you can do JPEG or JPEG plus RAW. Unfortunately, you can't just shoot in RAW, but I always leave it on JPEG plus RAW, so that way if I do need to do post-processing on my photos, I have all of the information available to me. Going into the three dots menu, we have our safety features. So these are the settings that I have. If you want to copy any of them, you can just pause the video as I'm scrolling through. You can do compass calibration. This is something that may be required from time to time. If you do need to do that, just make sure that your Mini 3 Pro is set on a flat, stable surface, preferably away from anything metal. And then you'll just pick it up and rotate it around in the directions that are shown on the screen, and that will give you a proper calibration. This is a thing that ensures that you don't have any issues in terms of the drone being able to find its way back to you. So this is definitely something that you want to make sure that you take care of before you fly. So going back in here to the 3 dots menu, you can also unlock geozones. So if you are doing a job and you have permission to be somewhere that's not ordinarily allowed, you can unlock the geozone there. You have your emergency propeller shut off, what you have that set to so that we don't accidentally stop the propellers mid-flight. Here you can change your gain and expo settings. So this is how the drone responds to stick input. You can make it faster or slower, and you can customize it per setting. So if you use cine mode, you can make things very, very slow. And for sport mode, you can make them very, very fast or have anything in between. So that's another thing that's really nice. You also have your stick modes. So I'm a mode 2 pilot, which is sort of the standard, but you have a couple of different modes that you can choose from if you so desire. Here we can also go ahead and change what the custom buttons do. So I have mine do the recentering the gimbal, and I also have it as flight control. So that way, if you're doing a time lapse, you can just cruise control and it'll keep flying in the same direction. Unfortunately, the cruise control doesn't actually work outside of time lapses right now, but hopefully they'll bring that feature eventually. You also have here in the camera settings, all of your guides, overexposure warnings, and other things like that. You can also change your white balance from auto to manual. You also have your style options, so you can change the sharpness or the noise reduction settings. There's not a ton of customization that you can do there, but at least there's some. You also have your storage location, so you have your SD card, and you have the internal storage, which is 1.2 gigabytes. Then you have your transmission. I generally just leave this on auto. It sort of does a good job. And then you have your about. This is just all of your regulatory information and so on. Alright, so how do I feel about the DJI Mini 3 Pro after having owned it for about 7 months? And I've got to say, I think this drone is a really great investment. If it's your first drone, I think it's a great point to jump in on. If it's a drone, like a second or third drone, it's still really good. And I think even if you are a professional already and you have something like a Mavic or like an FPV drone or anything like that that you use for professional work, I think there is still a place for something like this. I know that DJI just came out with the Mini 3, which is a lower end version of this. Personally speaking, I don't think that the Mini 3 has a lot of value. There are a lot of features that got cut in order to reduce the price, and it's only really reduced by about $200, give or take. So for that difference, honestly, I would just go for the Mini 3 Pro. I think it offers so much better performance. It has a larger 1/1.3 inch CMOS sensor, which is pretty big for a drone of this size. It has really great dynamic range. This also can shoot in D-Cine-alike, which is DJI's flatter profile, which is really great for if you want to do some color correction in post. You can really match it to any camera that you have, and I think that it's a really good value proposition. And even more than that, I think just the fact that it's a small drone and it's very quiet, this is the quietest drone that DJI makes. So if you are somebody who kind of gets a little bit nervous flying drones out in public, this drone will definitely help you get over that fear because it is so quiet, nobody will really ever bother you. And in fact, a lot of people are kind of curious about drones most of the time from my experience. So I think this is a great point to enter at. And like I said, even if you're a professional, I think you still have uses for a drone of this size and this form factor. So with that being said, I highly recommend this drone. It is a little bit expensive, as are pretty much all of DJI's products, but they are very well made. This will last you a long time, and the good thing is that the resale value on these, if you ever feel like selling it, is pretty good. So yeah, definitely not anything that I would feel bad recommending. I think, as far as a mini drone, this is probably the best that you're going to get at the moment, and it'll probably be a while until they come out with a Mini 4 Pro, so I wouldn't feel bad dropping the money for this now. So with that being said, I hope you guys liked this video. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more content, and let me know what you guys thought about this. Do you like the Mini 3 Pro? Do you have a DJI drone? Are you looking to get into drones? Anything like that, I'd love to talk to you guys down in the comment section below. But I will see you guys in the next video.